About this blue dun, Mary Orvis Marbury says that there is no fly with a greater variety of names or dressed in a greater variety. I am tying it on a number 14 dry fly hook with gray thread from the illustration in Mary Orvis Marbury's book, Favorite Flies and Their Histories, published in 1892. I'm going to put a gold tag, although maybe a silver tag would be more appropriate to a blue dun, but it looks like there is a gold tag in the illustration. And what I am doing is tying from the illustration. There really is no recipe, just the picture drawn from a fly that Mary tied for her book. So I'm using ingredients to best try to imitate the illustration, and I have some bicolor tinsel, tie it in with the gold side to the hook. That way when I flip it, gold side will show. And just catch that in and clip it out. I'll take my thread up to the front of the hook where I'm going to tie in the tail, and I have 3 strands of bucktail in a dyed, I'm going to call it light dun. All right, so we use the word dun in a couple of different ways. We use the word dun to indicate a stage in a mayfly or other insect development. And so when we tie duns, that we're tying that stage. But we also use the word dun for a color, kind of a bluish tint color, I guess. One of the people that Mary quotes in her book is a fellow by the last name of Cotton, and he says that this fly ought to be tied with the down from a blue or a bluish greyhound. So you comb out the greyhound, and the down from the bluish greyhound makes a great dubbing for the body of this fly. But because it's a fly that's tied with a great variety of ingredients, I guess we take some liberties when we do that. So I'm going to be using some sparkle dubbing. Probably not the kind of dubbing Mary would have had. This has got some natural gray fibers in them, but then it's got the sparkle added to it, and it gives a little twist to this old fly. Again, the liberty I think is okay because it was a fly that was tied with a great variety of ingredients. So I'll just dub in the body, and I think the sparkle in it is bluish, so it does give it that bluish tint. For the wings, I'm going to be using a light dun cape. Tips off of that. So I have 2 tips that I have separated, and I will measure them. I think I've got it pretty close. Pull off fibers from the butt end of what I've cut. Put one on each side of that hook shank. Maybe a little bit long. Try to get them the same length. And I can clip out butt ends after I tie them in. Just pinch the shank and tie those wings in. go ahead and clip out the butt ends so that they don't cover the eye. And I'm trying something a little bit different for the hackle. This is more like a soft hackle feather, but it is from that same cape. It comes off of the leg part of the cape, and I'm going to tie it in like a soft hackle. So I'll grab the tip with my hackle pliers, pull back on the fibers, and then I'll go ahead and clip that tip, so all I have is a little triangle there. And then I will lay that against the shank of the hook and wrap around that little triangle to catch it in. And then I'll grab the butt end with my pliers and I'll pull back on those fibers as I wrap them. The dry hackle purists are probably cringing right now that I'm using this more like a wet hackle. But again, I'm more tying to imitate the illustration in Mary's book, just kind of as a fun project. Fun for me anyway. Okay, I'll go ahead and catch in that butt end. Let go of it, pull everything back and wrap up around that butt end. That'll create the head. And then I can grab that stem, snap it out of there. And put a whip finish on it. I am going to put some head cement on that head, and I use a diluted goop. I'll put a recipe for this head cement in the description below. Stick a needle in my jar, just grab a drop of it and dab it on the head. It looks a little bit darker while it's wet, but it will dry clear. And then just to make sure that the eye is clean, I'm going to pass a hackle feather through the eye and that'll clean it out. A blue dun using the illustration in Mary Orvis Marbury's book, Favorite Flies and Their Histories, as my guide.